The latest balance update for Marvel Snap is here, and by golly, we've got a lot to talk about today. I mean, there's no way that they nerfed one of my favorite cards, right? But it would be short-sighted to cry about a nerf when we've got 3 significant buffs to talk about as well, including a buff that I had been requesting for months, so let's get right to it. Alright, so we've got to start with what is most likely to be the most notable change in the patch, and that is the nerf to Dr. Doom. Dr. Doom's Doom bots have been changed to 4 power bots from 5 power, effectively reducing Dr. Doom's overall power output from 15 power to 13. I'll be completely honest, this nerf took me by surprise, and its timing is something of note. I think we can all agree that Dr. Doom was an incredible card, and it's one of those cards that was unanimously recommended to players to unlock and play regardless of what tier list you were looking at. Coccia and I even joked on the Snapchat podcast about how every deck got better if you just added Dr. Doom to it. So yeah, maybe it needed a nerf. But it's worth noting that the addition of Spider-Ham to the game should represent a significant counterplay to Dr. Doom, as it's one of the 6 cost cards most impacted by this leech style effect. Spider-Ham was also released directly to Series 4, so in theory more people should have access to it, as opposed to a Series 5 release, meaning that there's more potential downside for Dr. Doom. At the end of the day, there is definitely merit to the nerf. If anything, I like how it adds decision-making elements to playing Doom, as Doom itself is going to have additional power, so its placement could be the difference between winning and losing. And now to the buffs, and I've got to tell you, there's some very exciting stuff in here, so let's dive in. Can you believe that it's finally happened? Nick Fury has gotten buffed. I couldn't believe my eyes when I saw the update, and I nearly cried tears of happiness. Nick Fury goes from being a 5 cost 7 power card to a 4 cost 5 power card, with his on reveal effect remaining consistent, meaning that he still adds 3 random 6 cost cards to your hand. As a believer of the shield deck archetype, this really gets me excited because there's a lot of added synergy here that I think will ultimately make a difference and allow Nick Fury to have the opportunity to shine. The thing I really like about this change is that it gives you an opportunity to actually utilize the cards that Nick Fury pulls, because they'll be discounted by Quinjet, which by association just got buffed as well if you ask me. With Quinjet on the board, you'll be able to play a 6 cost on turn 5 and on turn 6, and as someone who already plays a lot of Nick Fury, I'll tell you that as a 4 drop, there's some additional synergy that might not be inherently obvious, like playing Devil Dinosaur on turn 5 and then playing Nick Fury and Maria Hill on turn 6 to fill your hand, ramp up your Devil Dinosaur, while also playing 8 additional power on their own. There's a lot of potential power there, including a 16 power swing if you consider the power that's being added to Devil Dinosaur and the inherent power of Nick Fury and the Maria Hill itself. Ultimately, I love this change, and the fact that Fury can be pulled from Agent Coulson is just the icing on the cake. The next change comes in the form of a buff to Nimrod. Nimrod was a 5 power 5 cost card, and now we'll be getting an additional extra power, turning it into a 6 power 5 drop. It's important to note that the true power of Nimrod comes from destroying it, so at a minimum, it's actually a 2 power buff across the board with a single destroy activation. That's not insignificant, especially when you consider coupling it with Shuri, which is a common synergy with Nimrod, because then suddenly you can start to see the potential of this card as it now gets 12 power replicating across the board. I think that Second Dinner was wise to hold out on buffing Nimrod until they shipped that change to Galactus, because as with all things, timing is everything, and while Nimrod needed some help, Galactus needed a nerf, and so now it represents the perfect time to give Nimrod some love. I think we'll be seeing a lot of Destroyer in the coming days. In my most recent Decks of the Week video, I actually featured a deck with Red Skull, and here we are now, with Red Skull getting a bit of a buff. Red Skull was a 5/12 that gave enemy cards +1 at a location, but now it's a 5/14 that gives +2 to enemy cards at the location. I think that this is a good change because, as Second Dinner noted in the patch itself, having that greater counterplay to Red Skull is what gave him his identity, and with cards like Sauron now in Series 3, there's going to be more opportunities to get him into some creative decks. This does, however, bring back the Shuri into Red Skull and Taskmaster combo, but the game has changed a lot since peak Shuri, including a significant nerf to Shuri herself. So I think we're probably going to be okay here. Oh, and they removed Krakoa from the game. Good riddance if you ask me. I don't know if that thing should have ever even shipped, especially when you consider that we now have a very competitive mode in Conquest out. I think that's a great call overall. And that about wraps up today's balance patch update video. I've got another video for you right here if you're interested in seeing some more Marvel Snap content, and I'd appreciate if you hit the like button if you liked the video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in that next Marvel Snap video.